Notice in today's first reading from the first letter of John, St. John says, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. The love of the Father is not in those who love the world." And then he goes on to say that everything in the world is passing away. And there's a number of things that we can take away from this. Now, when we think of the beauty of the world, the things of creation, God created everything to be good. And we naturally desire what is good. And to a certain extent, we naturally love what is good. But what St. John is getting at is what is our primary love? And if somebody makes their primary love the things of this world, then they're not in a good state. So what he's saying is, make the love of God your first and primary love, and then you will have the right attitude towards the things of this world. Too often, many people love the things of this world too much and believe that the things of this world can fulfill them, make them happy. Unfortunately, it takes a while for them to realize that that is not the case. So it's not that he doesn't want us to appreciate the things of this world. It's not that we can't love our relatives or friends or, spouses. It's not that they can't love each other, but their love must be subservient to the love of God. And notice how he says that, and the world and its desires are passing away, but those who do the will of God live forever. And we could add to that by pursuing the love of God and doing the things that God wants us to do, we receive an abundance of heavenly riches, which will add to our glory in heaven. And so that should be our primary focus in life. Yes, we need to deal with the things of this world. Some people may fall in love, get married. You obviously have to love your families, but everything has to be subordinated to God. So love of God must come first. And for most of us, that's kind of obvious. But, it's interesting in today's gospel reading, it's a continuation of the presentation in the temple when Joseph and Mary bring the child Jesus to present him to the Lord. And yesterday we had, Simeon. And today we have Anna, the prophetess. And notice how it mentions that she was in her 84th year. So she lived with her husband for 7 years after marriage, and then her husband died. So she was a widow to the age of 84. So she didn't remarry. She didn't stay in the world. Now, how old was she when she got married? We don't know. We can only speculate. Back in the day, people got married fairly young. Let's just say maybe she was 16, or let's just say 17. She was 17. Lived with her husband for 7 years. So that would come to 24. So at the age of 24, her husband dies, and up until the age of 84, in other words, for 60 years, she lives in the temple, fasting and praying night and day for 60 years. People might think, well, wouldn't she get tired of doing that? Wouldn't she want to go out and enjoy the things of this world? And the answer is she didn't want to. Why not? Because she found that her dedication to God and to the things of God was so fulfilling. And sometimes people have a hard time conceiving of this. When we think of vocations to the religious life, when somebody becomes a nun or a monk, they're dedicating their life to the service of God because they're in love with God. And they want to pursue God more ardently. And they renounce the world because the world is kind of a distraction to them from the things of God. They understand that it's easy to be drawn aside, to be distracted from by worldly things from the things of God. So they don't want that distraction. So they want to be more focused. They want to choose for their life that thing which is most conducive to their eternal happiness, but also it makes them happy here and now. Now, I think it's true to say that not every nun or every monk is the same, and some of them, yeah, they kind of get restless, and some of them may long for worldly things, which of course is not a good thing, but some of them become very holy, very saintly because of their dedication and pursuit of the things of God. Now, I know for very young children, sometimes their parents, they encourage them in the ways of prayer and coming to Mass, and often young people, they don't realize the benefit of prayer or the value of the sacraments. They may have a sense, but they don't always realize to the extent that they should how important these things are. Hopefully, when we get older, we do realize and we commit ourselves to a routine of prayer. And I think for most people, sometimes it can be a challenge because people are busy. But you see, very often when it's time for prayer, we get distracted or, we make excuses for not praying. But when we actually do pray, when we follow the schedule as we should, we realize that it's extremely beneficial for us. And, I experienced that in my own life also. So prayer is extremely beneficial. And so dedicating ourselves to a life of prayer, to a life of pursuit of the love of God. Imagine a young couple, two young people, they're attracted to each other and then they want to pursue a relationship, maybe with the prospect of getting married, right? They're going to think about each other. They're going to make the effort to get to know each other. They're going to spend time together. They're going to, talk about their feelings, their values and things like that, and talk about the future. They put effort into developing their relationship. And this is exactly what we need to do. Now, many of you who come to daily Mass, you already have a routine of prayer, and all of that is great. But, spiritual authors say that, we should never just be content with being where we are. So, imagine we're on a level, maybe we attain to this certain level, and spiritual authors say that if we're not striving to improve, we're actually decreasing. So we should never be content. The ideal is we always strive to become better, to become more charitable, to become more holy. And we all have our faults, our shortcomings, and so they keep us motivated because otherwise we become complacent and we think we're okay where we're at, but in reality we're not. So frequent confession, examination of conscience, striving to grow in the practice of virtues, just general charity, or making more of an effort to be more friendly, whatever it is, right? We all have certain things that we can grow in, and it's important that we focus on these things. And yes, there's many beautiful things in the world, and I think today, in our age, one of the things that can be a great, great, great temptation to many people, and especially young people, is social media. Television, movies, right? It's like people go to those things for enjoyment and pleasure and satisfaction, sometimes even sinful things, right? Instead of appreciating the beauty of nature, for example, right? People don't appreciate nature as much anymore because, look at what I have on my cell phone. Look at these fireworks or whatever, man-made things. But when we think of the beauty of creation, like an animal, for example, animals are so beautiful. So God created beautiful things, and all of these things in the world should actually cause us to give thanks to God, and all these things should point us to God. So the beauty of creation, the harmony of creation, they manifest to us the beauty of God, the harmony of God, the goodness of God. So instead of being fixated on the things of this world, we should use the things of this world to help us to get closer to God, to help us to grow in our love and appreciation of God.